All right, everybody, how are we doing? Welcome back to Dawncaster beginner tutorials. Today we are doing the final tutorial for the Rogue. So kept one of the best for last. The Rogue is a super interesting class, got a lot of very unique mechanics. Today we're just going to be running it down with the Rogue's most basic default loadout, which is the ambush daggers. So let's get that set up and have a little look at how that plays out. So Rogue, select the best portrait, and we're going to take the daggers as our starting weapons here. So the way the daggers work is at baseline, they just deal 2 damage, but then they have this ambush ability that deals 3 extra damage and critical hits. So critical hit is the same thing as in pretty much every video game, right? It just does double damage. So if you ambush with this, you will do 2 damage plus 3, and the whole thing will critical hit, so it'll actually do 10 damage. Now, what is ambush? Ambush basically means if it's the first card you played that round, it counts as an ambush. So if you play something else first that round and then play this, you will not get the extra 3 damage and a critical hit. Pretty straightforward, I'd say. You can also see the keywords described at the top of the screen here. So we're going to select that. We're going to select Stealthy Weapon. So basically what this does is whenever we activate it, it'll stun our next opponent, our next foe, and steal a potion. So stunning just means they will basically automatically pass their first turn and do nothing. So we're going to select that. And we're going to take Sneak Attack as our sort of starting bonus card. The Sneak Attack, it does 4 damage, and it resets our ambush. Now, ambush, ta-da. So basically, normally ambush only triggers when it's the first card played of the round, but if you have another card that resets your ambush, you can then play another daggers and have it trigger the ambush ability again, despite it not being the first card we played that round. Hope that makes sense. There are other cards that can reset our ambush as well. We're going to be on the lookout for those as we play. So we're going to select that. We're not going to be playing on Impossible. We're going to be playing on Normal. We're going to be deactivating all of the extra card sets. So the reason I'm doing this is not because they're bad or they're uninteresting. There are so many cool builds in the extra card sets. There are so many cool, amazing things. But especially when you just start playing the game, I think playing with all of the card sets on is just overwhelming. There are so many cards that do not play together well, and if you don't know what those are from experience, you're probably going to end up prematurely ending some of your runs because you've simply kind of built yourself into a hole. So if you just stick to the core and to the extended set, and you stick with the base loadout, just when you're starting to learn the game, you're going to get a grip on the fundamentals, and then you can progressively activate more and more of these packs. If you want to know what kind of cards are in each of these packs, they click on these little eyes, and then down here it'll tell you what the key keywords are. So for instance, the meta progress set includes Swap Flow, Sinister Totems, and Darkness. Metamorphosis has Perform, Cascade, Corrupted, etc. You'll pick these up as you go, There's a lot to figure out here, but just keep it small and simple and you'll get it. The other place to check is if you click on down here on the left, you click on this, it'll bring up a search of all the cards, and then here you can look for cards. So you could look for cards that have ambush, right? And then here you can see which cards that have ambush are included in the sets that we're playing with today. So the core and the core extended, basically, right? But then we're like, oh, are there any good cards in Infinitum for ambush? And there are cards with ambush in the Infinitum pack, but they're not necessarily relevant for the kind of ambush deck we're playing. Great resource here. The other place to go is to check the Discord, and there is sort of a Dawncaster wiki page called blightbane.io. Let's go back to the Rogue. Daggers, Stealth, Sneak. Not Impossible, not all cards. And then we're also just going to be playing the core levels today. So each of the DLCs adds the tons of levels. In general, the DLC levels are harder than the base game. There are some builds that I'd say you might prefer running the DLC levels with, but overall, they're definitely more challenging. So I'm just going to be sticking to the base game levels. And let's go ahead and start the game. I'm going to be skipping over all the lore bits. I've seen those a million times. Please enjoy them in your own time. Blah, blah, blah. Lore. So just some of the basic fundamentals of how this game works. If you played something like Slay the Spire is a roguelike that works that you have kind of a big dungeon map and you can see the paths, and then you move down the paths, and depending which path you take, you will not go down other paths. Dawncaster is a bit different in the sense that you will sort of end up going down all of the paths given in like one given level. It's just the order in which you take them will change. So at the moment we have 3 things presented to us. We have this campfire, a stinger spider, which is just an opponent, and another campsite. At the top left, you have this 1. That means we're in Canto 1, and that's the so-called event deck. So the event deck is kind of like the house deck, and every time we do something, like we fight an opponent, let's say we fight the spider, we kill it, the event deck will shuffle and dish out 3 new events. And basically you work your way through these events until you get to the final boss for that Canto. You fight them, you beat them, you continue on to the next Canto. It's sort of the basic system. At the bottom left is your character portrait and your health. We have 90 starting health. The middle is our gold, 35 gold. At the right, that 11 is our deck. If you click on that, it'll show you all the cards in your deck. So you have a healing potion, some blocks, some daggers, sneak attack, these surges. If you've just freshly downloaded the game, you haven't leveled up your character at all, you might have slightly different starting cards. I think you don't have the healing potion at the start, and I think you might have 1 more dagger. And then here at the bottom right, this is our weapon power. So if you see at the bottom here, it says this can be used every 2 battles. So this was that weapon power. When we activate it, at the beginning of our next fight, we're going to stun our foe. So let's start this run by straight up fighting against a stinger spider. I'm going to activate the weapon powder. You can see that's now gone on cooldown. There's 2 more turns. After we fight and defeat this stinger spider, there will be a 1 there. 1 turn left. So, basics of the combat screen in Dawncaster. At the bottom we have our cards, in front of us is our enemy. At the top is our enemy status bar, in the middle of the 24 is their life. On the left you have those 2 little cards, one that's kind of a red skull and one that's a sword. Those are the 2 types of the next 2 cards that they're about to play. So the red skull is an opponent's deadly attack. Most opponents have a deadly attack, but not all of them. A deadly attack tends to be the opponent's strongest attack. So if you want to avoid getting hit by this. You can build up armor, or you can build up barrier, you can make yourself invulnerable for a turn. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Especially here in the first Canto, you can easily get hit by this spider deadly attack. It's not going to do too much to you. It's still the first level. And then the sword is kind of just a normal attack. There are other symbols that we'll see later. There's a green shield, which is some kind of defensive ability. It could heal them. It could give them some kind of evasion. There's also like different kinds of cog wheels to do different things, and a little flame, which means an aggressive magic ability. So you can't, when you start playing this game, necessarily know exactly what that means, right? Just because there's a little skull or a little sword, you don't actually know what that does. The more you play the game, however, the more you're kind of going to know, oh, the stinger spider, his deadly attack does this. So Dawncaster is really a game about just a lot of knowledge. You really just have to play a lot until you just memorize stuff, and the stuff comes naturally as you play, as you enjoy the game. These things get burnt into your mind, right? Yeah, so that's all you can really do there. Just keep on playing until you memorize these things. Then at the top right, we have this other status bar. This is where you're going to see all of the spiders' like current afflictions and bonuses and their enchantments and their items. So currently, this guy has an enchantment, which is like a static ability, which means that whenever they take damage, we get 1 bleeding. So bleeding just means we take additional damage equal to the bleeding. And then we have them stunned at the moment. So that's this little gray thing with the little ball with the lines around it. So that means they won't do anything on their first turn. For the most part, you go first in every combat. There are a few select enemies where you will not be going first. Spider's not one of them. So we have our cards down here. At the moment, we have these daggers, which are those ambush items. We have this block shield that can give us armor, and we have this surges that will give us additional energy. You can see the 2 little green balls in the center, those are like our mana. So the rogue functions off of green energy for the most part. And every ability we cast is going to cost a certain amount of energy. So these daggers cost 1 gray energy. A gray means you can use any color to cast it. So that's a bit like if you ever played Magic the Gathering, it's like rather than it being like, you know, a forest or an island or whatever, it's just like a number, like a 1, so you can use any color to cast it. So these daggers are our main tool. Again, if it's the first card we play, they will do ambush, deal additional damage, and do this critical hit. So I want you to pay attention real quick to the color shimmer around these cards as I play them. Do you see how they have this green outline around the daggers that, for instance, the shield doesn't have? The shield has this yellow one. Once I play one of these, the green outline is going to disappear from the other dagger. And that's because the ambush condition is not being met anymore. The ambush condition, again, was that it's the first card that you play that turn. So now this dagger, rather than doing whatever 12 damage that we just did, will only do a measly 3. So I'll play it, boop. So it doesn't do anywhere near as much. Yeah, so you really want to hit them with the daggers first. It's probably the first card you want to play if you have it in your hand. I'll play these surges. So what these surges do is they give us 1 energy and they give us a conjured dagger. Can you see how these are sort of translucent and they have this kind of ghostly outline? When we play these, they will just permanently disappear. So you see the enemy just did nothing there, but they did lose their stun up here at the top right. So I'm just going to ambush them again, and they're dead. Cool. So what happens next? We get 20 experience. We can see that's like, I don't know, a 6th or 7th of the way to the next level up. And we get presented with 3 cards. Now, just because cards are presented to you after a battle does not mean you have to take them. You can just go to that X at the bottom right, not select one, move on with your life, and forget about it. That being said, this card here, Cloak and Dagger, is pretty decent for the rogue. What this card basically does is, as long as you keep it in your hand and don't play it, it gives you evasion once per turn, which lets you dodge an enemy attack. So that's quite good defensively. The rogue overall, you'll notice, is a class that struggles a bit with sustaining itself, unlike, let's say, the warrior or the hunter, that are like really good at that. Okay, so here, we've received 3 new things. You know, I said before, between every event, the deck gets shuffled and it dishes you out 3 new events. So this time we have an opportunity, another campsite, and another opportunity. And opportunities are basically just like YOLO gambles, right? They can be good for you. Most of them are good for you. Some of them are bad for you. In this case, I'm going to go for one of these opportunities over anything else. The reason I'm doing that is opportunities are also a bit of a special kind of card where, you know, I've said this twice now that the deck gets shuffled and dealt out again. If you do not take an opportunity, it just gets deleted. So if you see one and you don't take it, it's gone. And in general, because opportunities are good for you, you kind of want to prioritize them. So you're going to see if I click on this left opportunity, the one on the right is just kind of like Thanos snap disintegrate. Boom. So that did not get shuffled back in. Windy Hillock, this is one of many random events. What they each do individually, you're just going to kind of have to figure out by playing. However, I'm going to give you a little spoiler here. Windy Hillock, if you go and find shelter and you raise your shield for additional support, it will remove that shield card from your deck. Now, if you're kind of new to roguelikes, you might be like, whoa, why am I like removing cards from my deck? This is insane. Like if you play something like, again, like Magic, when people start to mill you out or discard cards from your hand, it's like the worst thing that can happen to you, right? It's really depressing. However, in the roguelike, you want to keep your deck quite compact. You want to only have good cards in your deck and cards that synergize. Because like imagine if you have a deck that has 3 cards of the best cards in your deck. Do you want to dilute your deck with mediocre cards, which mean you see those 3 cards less often than before? You probably don't. So cards like these shield cards, or these block cards, sorry, is what they're officially called, you probably want to get rid of them. I would also say we're going to want to get rid of a few of these daggers, maybe like 1 or 2 of them, because 5 might just be a little bit too much. Again, the problem with the daggers is, you know, only the first one we play has the ambush. So if we have 2 in hand, the second one kind of sucks. Unless we have a way to reset our ambush, which is also a strategy we could go for. rather than removing the daggers. But let's just keep on fighting and seeing what happens. We might pick up cards that will help us determine what we want to do with our build. Go for this opportunity again. So there's a few of these opportunities. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to coat one of my weapons in the poison. Okay. New type of enemy here. Healthy Tuskboar in the middle. Do you see how he has this angry little face on top of his head that's like emanating these red pulses? So what this is it means this enemy has like an aura that kind of spreads to all the other enemies that we see here. So what the Healthy Tuskboar's aura does is it gives him 1 anger per turn. And what anger does is if you have 1 anger, all your abilities that do damage do 1 more damage. If you have 5 anger, each ability that you have does 5 more damage, right? Pretty clear. So if we go to fight this Raven instead of the Healthy Tuskboar, the Raven will have this ability until we go kill the Tuskboar later. So in general, if you see an opponent that has one of these enchantments over their head like this, you want to prioritize them. So we're going to go fight the Tuskboar first. So this Tuskboar is unfortunately not stunned because we weren't able to activate our weapon there because it still had a 1 turn cooldown. So you see up here, he got 1 anger. It's this green little sword. So in general, the color is things with this this kind of greenish color. These are blessings, and these are things that are good for you. And then there's the red ones, which are I think affliction is the term that the devs use. They are bad for you. Okay, another 30 XP. No interesting cards. Gonna pass on that. Take the opportunity again before it disappears. I'm gonna throw a weapon in the fire. This just gets rid of one of your basic attacks for a random other card. Sharpshooter. Okay, this is an enchantment for ranged builds. This is absolutely useless for us. So that is the kind of card that I might want to get rid of later somehow. Either by burning it at a campfire or transmuting it into something else at the Alchemist. Sharpclaw Raven, huh? So this Sharpclaw Raven has this kind of annoying ability. It gets this evasion. Evasion basically means that they're going to dodge your next melee attack. So you'll see here, I'll play these daggers. Boom, evade, no damage. I'll play this. They get evasion again. So kind of every second attack, melee attack we do to them will hit, rather than every single one. If you have a ranged attack or a magic attack, doesn't care about evasion, it'll go right through. There are tons of different kinds of defensives in this game that all protect against certain things, but not necessarily against certain other things. So it's super tactical like that. Another cool event. We're gonna fight. So, I said before, this sharpshooter thing, it's kind of useless for us because we're not playing ranged actions. That being said, I'm going to play it just to kind of show you what an enchantment is. So here at the bottom it says enchantment, right? So when you play an enchantment, it goes down here on your bar. And this is now just permanently applied to you for the rest of this combat. It doesn't get shuffled back into your deck. You don't have to pay any energy to cast it. It's just always activated. Later in the game, we're going to have the opportunity to permanently attach enchantments to us so that we don't have to reapply them once at the start of combat. So at the moment, this will still get reshuffled back into our deck between fights, but if we imbue it, it's just permanently on our character. This stunning combined with the ambush, I have to say, is absolutely brutal. This poor little pig didn't even get a fight in. Ooh, so lay in wait. That's a pretty good card. It's got a bit of defensiveness. So Vault is a really funny card because you see it costs no energy, but it draws you 3 cards. So you might think off the top of your head that is the most broken thing I've ever seen in my life. However, it has this text at the bottom that says gain 1 dazed. Dazed basically means once you run out of dazed, you get stunned. So basically what it says is draw 3 cards, you can take 1 more game action, and then you stun yourself. Which is interesting because you can get talents where you become immune to stun. And then all that basically is a card that costs no energy that draws you 3 cards. Basically becomes the best card in the game if you think about it. guy down as much as we can. The reason I drank that potion there is that that was a free potion that had been conjured by our weapon ability. Victory. No, nothing interesting there. So these shrines, haven't mentioned these yet. There's different kind of shrines. They all have different colors. They all do different things. Only way you can know what they do is to click on them. You can read their descriptions by investigating them. Sometimes still kind of hard to understand after you investigated them. If you just use them once, you'll figure out what they do. We're going to go ahead and infuse the energy of a card. So this is going to level up one of our cards. Another Raven. Interesting. So we can just kill him here because even though he has 1 evasion, he's going to dodge this. This is going to reset our ambush. And then we can kill him with the second pair of daggers. See, that's where it's good to have multiple daggers. Okay. We have now leveled up for the first time and we get to pick a talent. Talents are so freaking good. They will make or break your run and your build. They are so much fun. This is always like the highlight of the game when you get to pick a new one. So you'll always be presented with 3 initially, but then you can re-roll them on the side here. And depending on your character, you have more or less re-rolls. So we're not playing a poison build, so that's interesting. We're not playing a holy build. Painbringer is interesting. So Painbringer says whenever you deal a critical hit, gain 3 life. We deal critical hits whenever we ambush. That's pretty good. Headhunter, whenever you defeat a boss, gain 50 gold and heal to full health. And weapon training, reduce the cooldown of your weapon by 1. So that means we could activate our weapon every single combat because the cooldown would go down from 2 to 1 combats. These are all actually really, really good. I think if I were playing at a higher difficulty, I would take Painbringer, but I'm going to go the greed one for a Headhunter. And I'll take this Sharpening Stone, which is a 1-use item we can use to upgrade. Oh, if you see something like this with a blue banner, this is like a story event. Again, you can read all that text, learn about all the funny characters in your own free time. Oh. You see how the opponent hit us there before we even drew any cards? It's because they have this first strike ability, which means that they get to go first. So that was one of the few opponents in the whole game that has that. Daggers. This feels pretty good. Avatar of Blight. Okay. If you ever play a poison build on the rogue, Avatar of Blight is like the card that defines the entire build. We're not playing poison, so we're not going to take it. Actually, you know what? I am going to take it. Not because it's good for us, but because I can transmute it into something else later. But I'm not going to play it because we're not dealing any poison damage. But god damn, that card is broken. If we were playing poison, that would have just been an insane pickup this early into the game. That's actually really funny. I'm not sure I've ever seen that card that early. That was very lucky. Wish I knew the chances of what that have been. Sneak attack. Nah. Alright, there is the first mini boss. I'm gonna ignore her though. Finish off this boar first. That stun is so brutal, especially with the daggers. I'm actually really surprised how strong that is. I want to be honest with you, I don't actually play the rogue that often. I'd say warrior and hunter, my 2 favorite classes. So I'm kind of rediscovering the class here myself a little bit. So this is the first boss in the game. Her whole vibe is she puts little spider eggs in your deck. What that means is, so there are a lot of enemies in this game that can kind of put bad cards into your deck. Now, for the most part, 99% of these enemies, it's only temporary. Once you draw them, there you go, like those little spiders. They do damage to you, or they poison you, or they burn you, or whatever they do, but then they disappear. there are like one or two enemies that permanently put bad cards into your deck, and those hurt. Those really hurt. Because the thing is, when you have those bad cards in your deck, basically, let's say at the start of your turn, you're drawing 5 cards. One of them is the bad card. It does a ton of damage to you. So not only do you have 1 fewer card in hand, you also took like a buttload of damage. There you go, easy. Just focus on getting your ambushes out, getting those crits in where you can. Damn, these are also like lots of interesting cards. Philosopher's Stone is kind of a joke card if you ask me. It is the highest rarity in the game. Do you see how it has this orange border? And do you see at the bottom here where it says item? It's kind of an orange color. That's the highest rarity in the game. That was the same as that poison card we picked up earlier. The one here on the left, Vampirism, where it's blue around corrupted action, that's the second highest. And the one in the middle, that's the lowest. And then there's green in between the brown and the blue. No, I'm not taking any of these. Not good for us. So we're going to use all these campsites now. So campsites you can do 2 things with. You can either heal 20% of your life or you can remove a card. And we're going to start removing some cards here. So I don't need both of these surges. How many daggers do I have? 4. Well, now that we're going to be transmuting the Avatar of Blight, I'm just going to get rid of Sharpshooter. I'm kind of tempted to keep this last surge for now until we level up later. So I'm actually just going to abandon this campsite and leave this Canto and go to the next area. Bright Candle. So we arrived at the town for the first time. Here we can go to the blacksmith. The blacksmith does a few things. You can either upgrade cards, remove basic attacks, or upgrade all of your basic attacks. I'm going to upgrade my basic attacks. Why that's like super good on classes that do things like critically hit is your critical hits do double damage. So 1 upgrade kind of counts for 2, right? Because like you do 5 damage, you upgrade it to 6, and that critically hits it does 12 instead of 11, right? Which would be kind of the 1 damage, but it's 2. We're gonna go to this alchemist here. So the alchemist and the blacksmith, they're both part of your camp followers. They're gonna kind of follow you around and you can reuse them throughout the campaign to do different things. The alchemist is next to the enchanter, probably my favorite camp follower. What she can do is she can change cards that you have into other cards. So this kind of means that if you find a rare card, but it's not exactly the right one for your build, you can give it to her and she can kind of re-roll it for you. So I'm going to change on a pair of 20 gold and give her Avatar of Blight and see what she gives me. Okay. Because of the limited amount of card packs we're playing with, there is only 1 other card it could possibly transmute it into. And this is actually a really, really funny card. This is Spell Thief. So it's play a free copy of one of your foe's cards. So there is kind of a whole build in this game where you're basically just playing your opponent's cards back at them rather than really doing anything on your own. It's more of a seeker thing. It's pretty complicated because you kind of have to know what every single enemy in the deck in the game does to effectively play it against them, but I guess that's kind of funny that we found that. If you want to, you can also go to this inn here. You can pay them gold to heal. It's kind of like a campfire that costs money. I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like once you've gotten to the point where you're spending money on the inn, you're probably gonna die. I feel like I don't think I've had many runs where I've used the inn and then the run has still been successful. Like once you're getting hurt that badly, you've messed up. So we get to choose the next destination. We're going to stick to these core levels here. Eastern Blightwoods, go for it. See the opponent here, this funny guy with his little hat. He drinks potions, he makes you bleed. It's kind of annoying. A few of the enemies this level, they steal gold from you. So you're quite incentivized to kill them as quickly as possible before they steal too much of it. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can click on your individual cards to bring them up if you need to read them. So, and that's stun and the double ambush. I'm loving it. Live, laugh, loving it. Oh, so do you see at the top left, this opponent has a green shield and this kind of like cog wheel icon. So the green shield means they're going to play some kind of defensive ability, and the cog wheel is sort of like a utility thing, which can be so many different, it means so many different things. So there, they played the health potion and they tried to steal one of our blessings, but we didn't have one at the time, so it didn't do anything. How about that? So you see there how we're kind of weaving that card that resets our ambush in between the daggers so they critically hit again. That's kind of what this is all about. Here we have another enemy that has one of these auras on top of their head. So were there another enemy to their left or right, that they would apply this ability, this first strike, to those opponents as well. Again, giving us an incentive to attack them first so that they don't do that to us, so that they don't give it to their friends. Ooh, this is going to be a bit of an annoying fight. So our opponent has some abilities that give themselves evasion. And basically, evasion, again, was this ability where they dodge our first attack, right? First melee attack. Now, the reason that's so devastating against us is our first attack is the one that ambushes, the one that's supposed to critically strike. If they dodge it, well, then we lose the ambush, and all our subsequent daggers are going to kind of be a bit sucky. So here they've got evasion. I'm supposed to do 18 damage to them. Evaded. But it's not like they're unkillable. Nothing interesting here. By the way, I'm passing on like 95% of the cards I see. None of the cards I'm passing on are bad. I don't really think there is such thing as like a truly bad card in this game. Every card has a situation and a build that it's playable in. Obviously some are better than others, but I'm just passing on cards that I'm pretty confident don't have synergy with our build. For instance, other cards that have ambush conditions. I can only play one ambush card a turn. If I fill my deck with ambush cards, I'm going to constantly have to pick between which one of them I want to use, right? So I'm going to ignore them. Let's play this Stealthy card and see if we can steal one of their cards. So this is a selection of the cards our opponent's going to play. I'm going to life drain off them. So this is the mini boss for this level. And this is a bit of a timed fight, meaning that this opponent gets 1 anger per turn. They just get stronger and stronger every single turn, and their main deadly attack also life drains. So the more anger they have, the more damage they do, the more life they gain back. So if you don't kill them quickly enough, you will just lose the fight. They've also done this nasty thing to us here where they've pinned us. So pinning means when you're afflicted by pin, you can only play the leftmost or the rightmost card in your hand. So in most card games, the position of the card in your hand does not matter. That is absolutely not true in Dawncaster. The position of the card in your hand means so much. There are things like pin that lock you to the left and right. There are things like flanking that have bonus abilities if they're played for the left or right. And there's lots of stuff like that. So card order in your hand is super important. You'll also notice that you can't like pick up cards and rearrange them. All right, our next level up. So Sanctifier Mystic Reflexes. Mystic Reflexes actually kind of interesting because this is whenever you gain evasion, you also get 1 ward. Ward sort of is like when you have 1 ward, let's say the next time someone puts an affliction on you, like they burn you or they freeze you or they bleed you, it will instead consume the ward. So it's kind of like evasion for afflictions. And we would get it quite a bit because we get a lot of evasion. Durable. Oh, Keen Mind. Drawing more cards, never bad, huh? Sanctifier, not so interesting. Duplicity. Weapon Training, again. I mean, it could... Again, these are all so good. Wow. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to go Keen Mind. Just draw more and more and more. Oh, Bear Trap. Well, we're a dexterity build, so we can avoid the Bear Trap. What you're going to notice if you play this game enough is that they're, depending on what character you're playing, they have different interactions with different events. So sometimes a warrior can just sort of smash his way out of a situation. Sometimes a rogue can kind of like climb or, you know, dexterity themselves out of a situation. An arcanist can be all clever. Nice. Another Cloak and Dagger. I mean, not the worst thing in the world. Sanguine Scrying, an amazing card if you're playing a hunter or warrior. Because we don't have reliable sustain. I'm not going to take that. So do you see on the Sanguine Scrying how on the left its energy symbols are kind of this dark blood red? That means that you're not actually spending energy to cast it. You have to pay life. So that costs 3 life to cast. Which if you're playing a class that, again, has a lot of innate sustain, you don't really care. However, yeah, the way I've been playing this rogue is I've not been taking much sustain. I've just been going for the big kill cards. Had I taken that talent that gave us 3 life every time we crit, I probably would have taken that Sanguine Scrying because we would have had more reliable sustain over time. But yeah, not the way we're playing. So there you go, you know, talent selection very early in the game can have a big impact later down the line. God, I kind of want to get rid of another one of these daggers. I don't know if that's just too greedy. I also want to get rid of this Spell Thief, actually. I don't really know. You know what? I'm just actually going to get rid of the Spell Thief. Keep your build to the cards that are actually doing something for you. Oh, the Infertile Racket. This is kind of a funny one. But no, I'm just going to walk away from it. I'll let you figure out what that does. Oh, here's where we find the Merchant. So going forward, we can buy items from this dude. Spoils of War, super cool. That's an enchantment, the one at the left in the middle row. Conjure a random item at the start of your turn. Cranium Blow is also sick. It has that thing. Do you see this one at the top here, Cranium Blow, where it says Finale, inflict 1 Jinx? So Jinx is kind of like a preemptive counter. If you have a Jinxed on you, the next non-basic attack spell that you play gets countered. Basically, it just doesn't get played. But the problem is you have to trigger that Finale condition. Finale means that you have 2 or fewer cards in hand. I think Spoils of War is better here for us. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Though I do love that card. It's sick. I'll go to Blacksmith again, upgrade everything. More opportunities. Always click on the opportunities first. He's stunned, isn't he? Yeah. I guess I'll just do it like that. So there you go. We got a free potion from the Spoils of War. Might as well use it now. This guy's gonna die anyhow. Poison coating. That would give us a bit of poison damage. I don't really think that's relevant. Poison damage tends to be a bit of a kind of a slower thing, and we're just ambush critting. Yeah, see? We're not going to let the opponent get to their second turn. Rapid Reload. It's kind of a funny card. It doesn't really synergize with our build, though. Rapid Reload is really good if you're playing like the short bow rogue and you just need some additional arrows. Let's see, what can we find here? Let's play Spoils of War. I feel like playing a dagger there would have probably been the right idea. Because there is a chance that we actually fail to kill the opponent in this turn, but... Oh, Avatar of Blight again. Okay. That's Sanguine Scrying, I have to say. It is kind of tempting me. I just feel like it's really stupid to take. Should we risk it? Yeah, come on, let's do it. I'm already regretting it. Anyhow, here's the boss. So, oh, we gotta pack our magic cards. It's F&M tomorrow, everyone. Don't forget to pack your magic cards for F&M. Ouch. Ouch. Lost a fourth of her health there. That was incredibly rude, I have to say. But you're dead. Multi-shot. Interesting. Conjure random arrow whenever you gain evasion. It's not bad. It's not amazing either, though. I'm going to leave it for now. We're going to finish him. Oh! Okay. I just epically misclicked there, and I will regret that for the rest of this run. Wow. That was devastating, actually. So what I could have done there is I could have recruited the bandits, and they would have given me this card. That's really cool, because it lets you siphon gold from your opponents, and it's a great way to just farm gold. Now I don't have it, because I misclicked. Such is the Dawncaster life. So, merchants into town. There's that multi-shot again. I'm going to refresh his stock. By the way, every time you refresh the stock, that uses up one of your fate shards. If you're just starting the game, that might not be optimal for you. Us longtime players have like too many fate shards, so it doesn't really matter. But you might not necessarily want to do it. However, we found the Vanish card. This is an amazing card for us. So what this is, 0 energy. It draws a card, and it resets our ambush for free. So if you have 2 daggers in hand, you play 1 for the ambush, you play this, you play a second dagger, you basically get 2 ambushes. And this might be the first card that we've seen so far that has this charges thing at the bottom. So that's per combat. You can use this 3 times, and then it buries itself. So it just disappears until the next combat. Charges also have some other uses, for instance, for igniting bombs if you're playing the warrior. But I'll let you figure that one out. Okay, this is a very bad event that we just got from this opportunity, but that was one of the downside events that you get. Can't all be winners. So what we did is we got this blood moon here. So enemies gain 1 anger at the end of their turn. However, if we go to campsite, the blood moon will pass. I'm going to save my campsites for a little bit. I think we're strong enough for that 1 anger per turn not to matter much. Oh, pot-bellied imp. Sick. We're going to deal. He basically takes 20 of your maximum health, and in return, gives you an imbued enchantment. None of these are very good, but I'm going to take Carnage, I guess, because why not? Yeah, that was not a good trade, but there you go. That's part of the that's part of the gamble in this game. Yeah, sure, I'll take a random rare card. I mean, that's not bad. It's not amazing. It's not bad. So this is the first opponent so far that we've faced that has ethereal. So this basically means at the end of every combat round, their life will fully regenerate. So you need to kill them in one go. The way this is balanced, though, is that every time they regenerate, their maximum health decreases by 5. So if the fight just goes on long enough, they will just die. That being said, it's usually advantageous to try and just kill them in one turn like that. Stealthy again. Wow, this game really wants us to have those like epic level cards, huh? Font of Purity. I'll bottle the water. So I'm fighting all the small enemies before I go for the mini boss there. The reason I am doing that is that I want to level up first. There we go. So this is your your third level up. Is it level 3, level 4? I guess it's your level 4. This is probably the most important one in the game because this is the one and only time where you get to pick another color of energy. So as we're playing the rogue and we are sort of a mono green class, we just want to take another dexterity point. You can take a strength or intellect. This will open up easier access to cards of those colors. However, for most standard builds, you're just going to go for the colors that are already in your build at the start. Transform a card. No, fine. Bladed Warrior. So by the way, these Bladed Warriors, they're undead, so they're immune to bleeding and stun, so our weapon power does not do very much against them, unfortunately. Nope. Yeah, I mean, that was totally pointless. I had no energy in my hand. I shouldn't have played that. So I just took 3 damage for nothing there. So this ambush is unfortunately not going to do anything because our opponent has Impervious, which is sort of like evasion, but better. But we've got 2 evasion ourselves, so they shouldn't be able to get through. Then we give ourselves, no, we reset our crit, they die. So the sub-theme of sort of this area is poison. The boss at the end of this level just poisons the crap out of you. And his attacks do more damage based on the poison he has on you. Poison works in this game in quite an interesting way, actually. So it sort of does what it says on the tin. You know, it does damage to you over time. I guess so far so typical. But what's quite interesting about it is that even if you're not playing a poison build, so you don't have like explicit synergies with poison damage and increasing poison damage, what poison also does is it reduces healing. So even if you're not really doing any kind of like special damage with it, it's still sometimes worth using a little bit just to keep opponents down who rely on a lot of healing. We haven't really run into that yet, and I think you see that a little bit more in the DLCs than the main game. But it definitely is a thing. I would say, like, in general, most abilities, most keywords, most blessings and stuff have some kind of dual synergy. Some of them don't become immediately obvious, but the more you play, the more they start standing out. God, I hate this frog. Good thing he's stunned. He's got this really strong ability, his deadly attack, where he just kind of does 1/3 of his maximum health to you. Especially on the higher difficulties, it just does so much damage. It's just absolutely savage. Okay, we're just slicing through these record pace. Let's go to the merchant. By the way, if you have the ability to get to 100 gold before you go see the merchant, do it. Because basically the most expensive cards the merchant offers cost 100 gold. So yeah, if you can manage to do that, go for it. Because it means that if he has one of his best cards, you will be able to afford it. Crit. Crit reset. Crit. So, easy kill, turn 2, just like the others, huh? Nah, nothing interesting there. Stray light. So after this stray light, I'm going to go visit a campfire. And that's for 2 reasons. One of them is that aforementioned blood moon. I want to get rid of that. But in this level, you might have noticed it. You might have not. There's been something going on in the background the whole time. And that is up here at the top left. You see this little pot with this hand over this pot here. There's an 11 on it. We're taking increasingly more poison at the start of every combat. So every like a thing you interact with adds 1 to this stack. However, if I go to a campsite and I rest, that gets reset to 0 and the blood moon is gone. So I'm gonna go fight the noxious troll. Then I'm probably gonna use another campfire to heal up. And then I'm gonna go fight the main antagonist of this level. So this Noxlight troll, he can sustain himself through quite a lot. But he can't take 4 ambush daggers to the face. Okay, toxic triarch, no. Forgery, no. Craftsman. So craftsman, whenever you upgrade a card, upgrade it 1 additional time. You know how I said before, how if you have a crit card, you upgrade it once, it kind of counts as 2. Well, if you have to do this, I guess it kind of counts as 4. So we're going to go greedy craftsman. There's another saying on scrying. Man, I really shouldn't. All right, let's campsite heal ourselves up. There one more? Yes, there is. This Bolgar guy, if he gets too much poison on you, he really hit like a bitch. Crit. Reset our ambush. Crit. Reset our ambush. Crit. All right. You know what, guys? I just about think we're going to win this. Boom. Sharpening Stone. 1-off. Bonus upgrade. Lore. Okay, campfire. Nothing we want to get rid of right now. I mean, I kind of want to get rid of that Sanguine Scrying, but I don't know. I guess the meme value is definitely there. I could get rid of that Surge, though. I'm going to leave it for now. All right, next core level, the Amber Mines. So this is where we encounter the Succubus and the Priestess, and we get to make a choice. So the opponents here, they start to get a little bit more combo heavy, I'd say. So they're kind of trying to pull off these weird combos of their own. And then there's also one enemy here that is severely tanky, just huge amounts of health. Okay, so we really want to see the blacksmith again. Don't need it. To do our upgrades. This is an event for the warrior. Doesn't do anything for us. Okay, here's that enchanter that we just beat in the last level. If I hadn't skipped through the lore, you'd know that he's joined us, and he's actually not that bad of a guy. But what he can basically do is he can either memorize a card or imbue an enchantment. What memorizing is if you memorize a card, it will always start on top of your deck. It'll always be the first card you draw. So if there's just like a certain combo piece you need, some kind of really good synergy piece, you always want to draw it. You can try and memorize it. Now, imbuing an enchantment is probably overall a bit more interesting. What it basically does is it takes one of these enchantments, removes it from our deck, and permanently puts it on our character. So I'm just going to take Energy Infusion, because that's going to help us do more damage. And at the moment, I'm kind of obsessed with the idea of just one-shotting our way through this entire thing. So here we run into the collector. This guy's pretty funny. You can give him cards, depending on the rarity of the card, he gives you something good. If you have something of the max rarity and you give it to him, he'll imbue you with a random talent. It's going to be really, 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 really good if you get lucky and get an extremely strong talent. At the moment, I don't have anything really that good to give to him, so I'm just going to get rid of this Sanguine Scrying. He'll give me a bit of gold for it. However, we'll probably see him again later. And now that we know that he's there, we can start searching for a highest rarity card just to give him later. So first strike enemy, they go first. Do we get dagger? Oh yeah. Easy. Nothing interesting. These amber haulers can be a bitch too. They kind of have this thing going on with them where if you don't do enough damage to them, they kind of do more and more damage. And if you do too much damage to them, they gain a ton of armor, which prevents you from doing a lot of damage to them the next turn, and then they do more damage. It's a whole thing. But you know what? Ambush too good. So Amber Elemental, this is a big chunky boy. These Amber Elementals, super interesting. Do you see at the top 10, he's got this little Amber infusion. Cards awarded by this creature upgraded by 10. There's a big incentive to try and kill these guys as quickly as possible. Not a new concept at this point. The reason that is that their abilities will use their Amber infusion and reduce it. So now it's down to 8. So the cards that we see post this fight are only going to be upgraded 8 times rather than 10 times. But this is a really, really, really good opportunity to find cards that are only really good when they're already upgraded. So there's some cards in the game, if you get the base version with no upgrades, that kind of suck. But if you get an upgraded version of it, like, oh my god, are they great. So let's see what we get presented with. I mean, Cranium Blow, upgraded to 12, that's alright. If we play a Sinister build, this Garrett would have been a good find. I really want to make this Cranium Blow work. You know, I really want to be able to trigger that finale, but I just don't think we're going to be able to do it. I'm going to take it, though. Because there is a second way to trigger finale. So finale was... if you cast it while you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, it triggers the finale ability. However, if you manage to give a card the reliable keywords, you can trigger it without it having even really met the condition. So it's the same thing with the ambush. If you give daggers reliable, then the ambush will trigger regardless of if if you actually had ambush, which can be absolutely broken. So these upgrades, by the way, are like super good because remember we picked up that craftsman earlier, so every time we upgrade something, we're actually doing it twice. Merchant friend. Sleight of Hand. This is one of my favorite cards. I almost have to buy it. I'll show you what it does. I've definitely played builds where I've had like 7 Sleight of Hands in my deck. It just becomes a mess to play, but it's really funny. So ambush. And then so what Sleight of Hand does is you conjure a copy of one of 3 non-unique cards in your deck and then reduce its cost by 1. So it'll show us 3 random cards from our deck. I'm going to conjure a copy. So now we have these daggers that cost no energy. You can display them. This is really, really good for stuff like consumables. So we have a health potion in our deck, right? And there is a small chance that one of the 3 cards I'm going to be offered is the health potion. And then what I can do is I can conjure a free copy of the health potion to my hand, drink it, gain the health, but still keep the original non-conjured one in my deck. And I can just do that over and over. So with a bit of luck, you can make that trigger a few times in a row. Probably should have drank that first, huh? Ooh, wow, they're all so good. They're all so good. Okay, strong arms for more damage or mobility for more haste? I just feel like we're here to do damage, right? Gotta say, if I were playing on a higher difficulty, I probably would have taken the other one. But Let's cut him down. Okay, those strong arms are coming in hot. So the thing is, what I keep on saying, you know, a higher difficulty would on this, a higher difficulty, blah, 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 blah. Shut up about the higher difficulty. The reason I'm saying that is that if you're on a higher difficulty, you're probably not going to be able to kill your opponents as quickly because your damage is still the same. So you need more defensive options and kind of more clever options. Whereas at the moment, I'm sort of just going big damage, you know, because I know that we're kind of strong enough to do that. Okay, I'm going to take this Spell Thief. Not because I think it's good, but because we can give it to the Collector if we see him again. Blah, 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 blah. Lost Journal, blah, 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 blah. You know, I actually don't even know what these transmute into. Rune of Persistence. Is that good? Do we want that? Let's take it. Forking Tunnel. This is a forking tunnel. We're going to put this amber into our parket. We're going to squeeze. We're going to break some gold. And then we're going to fight the boss. It's Serena Hellspark. So the succubus, her main thing that makes her annoying is she takes control of your turn. So you're dominated every turn you fight against her, which means for the first 3 actions of your turn, she gets to choose what cards you play. Now, it's kind of worth noting here that she is not trying to like do something bad to you per se. The cards she picks are random. So she's not like trying to outplay you by doing some like sick negative combo to yourself with your own cards. But it is still quite annoying. Because is putting these beguile cards in your deck, which are kind of bad for you. And if she makes you play them, she heals herself for the equivalent value. That being said, again, it's total RNG, so she can't actually hit them on purpose. It's always accidentally. The Deep, another core level. So we've actually, despite fighting her there, recruited her into our party. Enchanter, let's go to the Enchanter again. By the way, notice that the imbues always cost 50 more gold. First one was 100, 150, 200, 250, etc. So before you go and speak to him, always make sure you have enough money to do what you actually want to do. So this level is all about funky fish that die to our ambush in one hit. Damn. We are strong. There's another rune. There's the Collector. Okay. I'm going to hand over a card. So I could give him the Spell Thief. I'm going to give him the rune. This is also a max rarity card. And we will get Perception. That's actually really cool. So Perception, it does 2 things. It gives us 1 extra green energy the first round of combat. But it also means that if an opponent has first strike, it will stop them from having first strike. So we basically can't get got anymore on turn 1. Memorize a card. Okay, that's not bad. Well, I'm actually going to memorize Cloak and Dagger because this is protecting us. I feel like we have paid 0 attention to our defensive capabilities so far. And I would like to make that up by memorizing that card. And the Sanguine Scrying, it's tempting me. So this is a mini boss, Cursed Kraken. This is a bit like the doggy before, where it's a kind of a timed fight. You sort of have to get him down as quickly as you can, like turn 1, before he gets to grow too many tentacles and kills you with all of them. So, again, the responsible. Oh no, there's so many good choices. Oh my god. Okay, so Shadow Dancer means our ambush is always active. That just means it doesn't matter when we play the daggers, the ambush ability will always trigger. However, Weapon Master upgrades all of our basic attacks, aka the daggers, after we use our weapon power. Because we have the double upgrade ability, I'm gonna take that. Damn, though. That was a hard choice. I think I just believe that we're going to be able to kill most enemies in just a few hits, that the additional ambush charges won't matter. And I think that we're overall going to get more damage by upgrading our stuff, especially because we're getting the double upgrades from Craftsman, right? Ooh, damn. Okay, I clicked too quickly there. I should have taken that Vanish. You can kind of never really have enough Vanishes. It's just goated. Another Sleight of Hand. I have to say, we're actually killing the opponent so quickly. Again, if there were a higher difficulty level, I'd take the second Sleight of Hand because the games would go longer and it would be more useful. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm going to say. Ooh, Shrine of Levity. This is amazing. So you place a card in its hand and it reduces its cost by 1 energy. I'm going to give it Sneak Attack. So we have another free ambush resetter. Ah, the Succubus. I'm just going to waste this campfire just to reshuffle so we can see more opponents. Merchant, merchant, merchant. You know what? Okay. Well, this is another way we can reset our ambush with guerrilla tactics. I don't know. I don't really think we're ever going to do that. You know what? I'm going to give her Julius, the merchant. So do you remember like 25 minutes ago, we got to the woods and I accidentally didn't take that card from the bandits. Part of taking that card from the bandits is you get to recruit them and you can give them to the succubus to gain a random talent. But instead, I'm going to give her the merchant for a random talent, and the talent we got is completely useless to us because it's for a ranged build. So that is part of playing a roguelike. You don't always get what you want. So the reason I gave her the merchant over the collector is I don't really think the merchant is going to sell us anything good anymore at this point in the game. I think we have enough cards to make our build work. I think with the small amount of cards we're playing in this card pack, there isn't really much more there that we're going to see. If we were playing with more card sets, I probably would have kept the merchant instead of giving them the collector. But I don't really think it's going to get too much better than what we already have. Is the truth. Easy boss. Let's see. All right, and we're on to the penultimate level, the last level. However, is just a big bad boss. So I kind of like to think of this one as the real last level. So this level has some quirks that makes it quite different from the rest of them, in the sense that it has kind of 3 bosses. Do you see here at the top, there's these 3 faces, the Seal of Agony, the Seal of Hatred, and the Seal of Chaos. Each of the bosses is applying one of these, and they're kind of debuffs that do bad things to you. And until you kill them, they won't go away. So one of them is right here, the High Priest of Agony, which is putting on the Seal of Agony. So we can see the Seal of Agony, we gain a random affliction. The Seal of Hatred's burying a random card in our deck at the start of turn, and our cards cost additional life to play them. So in this level, you are pretty heavily incentivized to kill these 3 bosses sort of before anything else. Because if you go ahead and fight the other enemies, you're going to end up playing against enemies that are not only strong because it's the second to last level, but also enemies that have these buffs on them. You'll also notice that whenever you beat one of these bosses, their seal gets turned to something positive. So now for the rest of this level, we're gaining 1 ward at the beginning of our turn. And again, ward was kind of evasion for affliction, so it'll prevent a stack of burning, a stack of bleeding, a stack of freezing, any of that kind of stuff. Collector, there you are. Very good. Ooh, a High Priest of Hatred. Yeah, there we go. This one I find especially annoying because he's constantly just permanently / temporarily removing cards from your deck. They're gone for the rest of this combat, however they do get restored between combats. Fine to leave. I'm just gonna go to this campsite. I'm gonna remove this greed that got put into my deck earlier. That's just kind of annoying and hurting me. Oh, this is okay. This is actually really funny. This is such an unlikely thing to happen. So this golden statuette, disable the trap, take the idol. You get this golden idol, which is like a fine item, but it has this one very incredibly specific synergy. And that synergy is with the collector. Namely, if you give the collector that item, he will give you something in return. Now, I was probably playing this game for a year before I ever saw this item, so you guys are kind of in for a treat here. There are a few Easter eggs in this game that are basically impossible to know about unless you would just randomly stumble into them, or, you know, you go online and read a guide. So this opponent's kind of annoying because you have to kill him twice. See how his name is Elusive Dreadlord? The reason he's called that is because you have to deal with him multiple times. But we should be able to ambush one-shot him next turn. I mean, one-shot's a pretty strong word to use like 5 turns into this combat. Helgard. Big shieldy boy. Oh, well, I actually have no idea what his abilities really do. Inflict 2 dazed. 7 brittle. I'll inflict 2 dazed. Oh, I could have played the Cranium Blow there. Got too excited. One shot. Yeah, once his armor's gone, he's not much of a fuss anymore, is he? Infusion. We don't have any enchantments. Sacred Shield. Insatiable Curiosity. Oh my god, so many good things. Okay, Marksmanship. We don't have any ranged actions. Weapon Virtuoso makes all our daggers free. Insatiable Curiosity just draws us more cards. I'm actually going to say Weapon Virtuoso is probably better here. I'm actually going to go to Collector. I'm going to hand over the Golden Idol. And he's going to like freak out. This can't be real, it's amazing. And then he gives you Gold Strike. So this is a weapon you can play once per combat, and it just does 20% damage equal to however much gold you have. So if you've been storing gold the entire game, that is going to be a very good card to have. Daggers, crit. So here we can use the finale, so I'll show you what happens. He's now got this like hand on him, so the next action they play has no effect and reduces Jinx by 1. I mean, they're stunned anyhow, so they're not going to do anything. Oh, I didn't even get to show you guys Jinxed. Oh well. Dead. But now we can give her the collector, right? Yeah, because we're not going to see him anymore. Infuse power. Alright, upgraded one of our daggers massively. Cross the frozen lake. Leap onto the isle. Catch some of the gold. Oh yeah, 250 free gold from a random event. Let's infuse some more energy here. We still need to get that last mini boss. Here they are. High Priest of Chaos. Ambush? Cold Strike? Oh man, picking up those extra 250 gold really just turbo charged our Gold Strike, didn't it? Let's fight this Summoned Baylor. So this is kind of a funny enemy. You see at the top here, he's got this little 3. Means you have 3 turns to kill him, or he'll just kind of like walk away. I guess he's just sort of over it. Don't really know if he's got somewhere better to be, but apparently. Anyhow, by the looks of how low his health is, I think we might be able to kill him before then. Let's see. Get the good dagger, reset our ambush. Spell thief him. What does he even do? Life and Jinx him. Anyhow, there we go. Now we can see Jinx in action. Boom. See, it got countered with that hand. Amazing. Dead. Okay, so Shrine, not going to use that. By the way, before you go to the last boss, go to all of these windows. They'll give you a temporary buff. You don't need to read them. You can just click on them and leave. Before you go to fight Dante, the final boss of the game, enter Leave the Sanctum. So, what do you guys think? Can we kill him in one turn? Big spooky demon. Maybe, maybe. No, I think we're missing the crits. Or wait, are we? Oh, ho, ho. Literally used every card and every piece of energy and he's dead on turn 1. Well, there you have it. Easy victory against Dante. Playing the rogue, normal default loadout, core levels. I hope this helped you guys. We're just starting out with this game. If you have any other questions, you can just leave a comment on the video. Otherwise, please check out the Discord. It's full of helpful community members. Tons of people who are way, way better at this game than I am, who can help you out with strategy. They've got builds. You can ask them what certain things do, how they synergize. Tons of great help there. Just please join them on Discord. I think there's a link in the start menu of the game. Otherwise, you know, just have fun, and I hope this helps you slay Dante for yourself. Have a good evening.